Testing 1, 2. Good morning, everybody. So I'm going to share an awesome skill. So we are live. So good morning, guys. My name is Donnie Rouse, and you are listening to the podcast, One Life. Embodiment. You may have heard the quote that says, knowledge is not power. Knowledge in action is power, meaning when we learn something, when we put it into action, that's where the true power lies. That's where true understanding lies. But how often do we have an epiphany, an aha moment where we learn something? Then all of a sudden we let it kind of slip through our fingers because we fail to integrate. We fail to put it to use in our life, to practice it over and over. What if there was a way to integrate it into your body so this way you never forgot the feeling? What I'm going to share with you today is a process of doing just that. And what I'm about to tell you is probably going to shock you because it's a process that you do over and over and over regularly on a regular basis, but you do it in a very disempowering way, lodging the negative feelings that you do not want to feel. When I tell you what this is, you're going to have an aha moment and you're going to be like, oh my God, yes, that makes so much sense. So the point of this podcast is I want to share this experience because if you've listened to this podcast, and not just the lessons you get from this podcast, but anything you learn in life, from a book you've read to a course you've taken, this is something that you can use to integrate those lessons, the feelings, because that feeling is your divine nature, your divine presence, your truth. So without even going into, I'm going to kind of describe the process first, and then I'll kind of walk you through the steps of doing it, and we'll actually do it together. So the process starts with thinking about an aha moment. If you listen to my podcast, more likely than not, you've come away with some new insight as to maybe a desire you had or a path that you should be going down that you've been ignoring. I want you to take one moment, one aha, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a deep breath in a meditative state, release it, take a deep breath, and then release it. And then what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you call to mind that aha moment and the feeling of it. And then we'll take another deep breath. We'll hold the breath, inhale a little bit more, and not that apex when it's very difficult to even sustain that breath any longer. You're going to release it with ah. So where are you doing this currently in your life? I'll tell you where exactly you're doing, where everybody does it. It's when we're worried, when we're fearful about things. That's when we contract. That's when we hold the breath. And what we're doing in that holding of the breath is that we're stopping the flow of our life energy, and we're literally lodging a feeling deep within our body. I could think of many instances in my own life where I think of the worst that could happen, and all of a sudden I'm overcome with fear. When my father went into his surgery, thinking about the war, what would happen? Like what happened if I lose my father? What happens if this happens? How is it going to change my life? And holding my breath and realizing too, while this is all going on, that I wasn't breathing. And as a result, I'm literally just holding that energy right in my body and almost embedding it into myself. But how it works with the disempower, or I would just say lower level emotions, it also works with the higher level emotions. Because by taking that frequency up, holding it, we're able to integrate with something higher. I was doing a course with Michael Beckwith, and I was reflecting, this was one of the practices in the course, and we were reflecting on some of the practices we had. One of them for me was the idea of affirmations, right? You've probably heard of the word affirmation. You just say, well, that's a bunch of huffy puff. But the intention of an affirmation isn't just to say words to hopefully make you feel good and to make a change. No. An affirmation is there to look at it, to literally embody it in the sense that you're writing it, you're reading it, you're hearing it, you're seeing it on the paper. And it's there to make a little bit of an opening in your psychology, in your mind, to say this is what's possible. And as a result of doing that, all of a sudden all these other things are going to come in. The objections you have, the beliefs you have. The point of it is to start to loosen that knot, that thread, making you available to something greater. And if you've ever done any kind of affirmation, or you started to affirm a higher state of being, a higher identity for yourself, you'll know that it starts to feel good. Well, why? It's because all these factors are at play. But how often do you do it? How often do you focus on the great feelings? Another aha moment I had was the aha moment of, where are you putting your interest? What are you interested in? If you're hearing this, you're like, well, what does that even mean? What are you interested in? What you're interested in means, where are you putting your focus? It's just literally a change of words, but a change of word can mean an indifference. It can mean an understanding of a concept that once eluded you. So as I was saying, where am I putting my interest? Like, I might think that I'm being positive and I'm putting my focus to the place or the thing that I want and desire, but when I was looking at where I was putting my interest, it was often at the thing that I didn't want, the feelings that I didn't want, or I was trying to avoid feeling. One simple word change, and it literally changed my entire world. Change how I'm able to focus, as long as I'm conscious of it, as long as I'm put into action. So I used this integration process to further embed and embody this idea of being conscious as to where I am putting my focus, where I am putting my interest. Now, by doing this, by practicing it over and over, as well as putting it into practice, meaning asking myself several times a day, where am I putting my interest? Where am I putting my interest? Where am I putting my interest? I can start to direct where my mind goes. It's kind of like the act of meditation, right? When you're meditating, your mind is going to go in and out of a million different things, right? A million different thoughts. But the point is to put your consciousness towards maybe a part of your body or your breath, to constantly breathe in and breathe out with intention. And as a result of doing that over and over, you control your consciousness. You control where you're putting your focus. So that when you're in your day-to-day routine, or you're doing the task in your day, it becomes easier for you to put your focus on the very thing that you want. And to also notice when where it's going, if it's going in a place that you don't want it to go. So let's start the practice. Let me run you through this. And this is something you can rewind this, you could listen to it a million times, and I encourage you to do it. Think of something that you've learned, maybe you've picked up from one of the prior episodes of my podcast. An aha moment, a moment where there was this awakening or this new insight where you thought, wow, this could change my life if I were to just focus and do this thing. Pick one item. It could be from a course, could be from a book you've read. After you've gotten it, I want you to close your eyes. Plant your feet on the ground and put yourself in a meditative state. It could be palms open on your lap, your eyes closed. Next, I want you to take a deep breath in, filling from your stomach. And when you reach the top, I want you to slowly release with ah. Take another deep breath in. Feeling your stomach, holding it at the top. And again, release with the ah. And then next, take a deep breath in. I want you to recall that aha moment and the feeling that you've had with it. What was the lesson? What was the feeling you had when you received that aha moment? When you've had that deep breath in, breathe in a little bit more. Holding the breath all the way to the top. We're waiting for the breath to become a little bit uncomfortable when we're sustaining it. But I want you, while this is going on, I want you to feel that feeling of that integration, that aha moment. Smile. Put a smile on your face. And when you can no longer hold it anymore, with that smile, release and say, ah. That is the integration process. And while, again, it might sound bizarre, but again, you do it every single time. Like every day when you're feeling stressed, you're doing it, but you're doing it in a non-productive way. You're doing it with feelings and emotions that you do not want to anchor in your body, right? If we're going to lock energy into our body, let's do it with something empowering. Let's do it with feelings of positivity. Let's do it with a lesson that's going to enrich our lives. It's going to connect us to who we are, really. Not with a disempowering state, not with something that's going to pull us back and make us feel really shitty. But yeah, that's what a lot of us do. And it's not because we're doing it by choice. It's because we don't know. But now you know. And now you have the knowledge. The next thing to do is to put it into action and to practice it. So that was my intention for you, because I thought this was a big aha moment for me. And so my first inclination was to come on here and I wanted to share it with you. So if you enjoyed this podcast, try it out. I encourage you, don't just take my word for it. Practice it. Try it out. See how it feels in your body. This is just the first of many different exercises I'm going to give you that I'm currently practicing and doing all this work. And they really, really help, because change starts in your mind, right? You change the way, you don't change the outside world. The outside world is reflected by your inside world. You change your inside world, you change your outside world. So that is all I've got for you guys today. If you enjoyed this, again, please subscribe. Please hit that thumbs up button depending where you're watching this. If you have any questions, comments, you can send them to me via email at www.donnyrouse.com. Again, www.donnyraus.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, you get one life. Live it. God bless, and I will see you again soon.